All right, thank you. Hi everyone, hi, hello, I'm Afiqah from Malaysia. So I'm currently teaching English in primary school in Malaysia, and I've been teaching for 7 years now. And so my full name is Afiqah Amalina Baharudin, and you can call me Fika, because you can see most of Malaysians' name, we have started our name with Nur in front. So it is, the meaning of Nur is the lights. So it's like the lights of kindness, the light of generosity and stuff. So when I was in Wellington doing my bachelor degree, my lecturer asked us, all the Malaysian students, to have our preferred name, so that there won't be more Nurs in the class. So my preferred name is Fika, so you can call me Fika. And this is my second time joining JALT conference, and my first time was in 2019 when it was held in Okinawa in Tiruru Gender Building, and it was so fun. I met Rod Ellis there, and we had so much fun talking and stuff. So this is my second time joining JALT, and thank you so much for this opportunity. And I hope that we can work together again in the future. Okay, let's just go straight away with my presentation. So I'm doing this research for the past few months, and my title is CEFR Assessment among primary school students in Malaysia. Should it be standardized or varied? I hope everyone can hear my voice clearly. Okay. So actually, this topic is quite hot topic among teachers in Malaysia, because it's up until now, we haven't been briefed of how the CEFR assessment should be carried out among the students in Malaysia. So we as teachers, together with the school administrator, we have decided to do the assessment on our own way. So we sit together and we discuss together on how to assess the students after the lesson. And the results also will be varied among the different schools, because all schools in Malaysia, we have different kind of methods of assessment. So the results will also be varied among us. So what is CEFR? Sorry, I think it's moving. So what is CEFR? I believe that most of the people nowadays have known and acknowledged what CEFR is. Or maybe you also have practiced CEFR at your workplace, at your school, or your universities. But let's just go briefly with it. So CEFR is a common European framework of reference, and it is the latest English curriculum implemented in schools. And it has been immersed and implemented in schools for by more than 40 countries all over the world. It's including Mexico, Canada, Japan, China, and Malaysia. And for Malaysia, we have been implementing CEFR as our latest English curriculum for both primary and secondary schools since 2017. So it's been 4 years until now. And for the syllabus and contents, they use contents and syllabus which are originated from Europe. So there will be certain times and certain topics that might need the teachers, the school teachers, to do extra work, to do extra explanation during the lesson, because there are certain topics that are not familiar with our students in Malaysia. For example, like there is one time I could remember during my own class, in my lesson, the topic was about food. So in the textbook, it displays that the school canteen in the textbook, they are selling pizza. So there is one student, he came to me and he asked, teacher, why their schools, they are selling pizza at the school canteen? And so they look a bit weird, because it's a bit weird for them to know that the school canteens in the overseas, they are selling pizzas at school. While our children in Malaysia, we are having rice and noodles at school. So it's a bit weird for them. And they also have to learn about the 4 seasons, the summer, spring and stuff. And so this is where it comes when the teachers have to do extra work to explain something that unfamiliar with the students. So for me, myself, I will use videos on YouTube to show to the students how and what is snow, where are the countries that will have snow every year, and why our country is not one of them. So by showing videos on YouTube is the best way so far for my students to understand better. Because they will be questioning and asking why we don't have snow in our country, teacher. So yeah, it's a bit challenging for us as teachers to do the lesson. And yes, next will be what the scholars say about CEFR. So CEFR is an obvious choice. However, creating a high caliber teaching workforce to carry it out possess a significant challenge. So like I mentioned just now, it is very challenging for teachers to teach English using CEFR curriculum. Because when there's a topic, certain topic, like I mentioned just now, when there are certain topics that is unfamiliar to the students, so it's a bit challenging for the teachers, for us as teachers to do more explanation again and again until the students feel satisfied with the teacher's explanation. And the second one is the full potential of the framework at the classroom level has not been realized yet, because understanding to what extent it has been implemented in the course books and how teachers are equipped with its guidelines have remained difficult. So it is what the scholars say. So it is clearly most teachers at school are still confusing and not confident enough to teach English using CEFR, because I would say because of limited knowledge and training regarding CEFR. We did have the course on CEFR, but that was a limited knowledge or training given to us. So most of teachers in my school, including me myself, we somehow feel that we are not competent enough, we are not knowledgeable enough to teach CEFR. And also when it comes to do the assessment, we are not given any briefing or any explanation or guidelines to do the assessment for the students. And the third one is there is a perceived gap in the literature regarding the CEFR-oriented testing and assessment practices of English language schools. So it is practically proved by the scholars that CEFR testing and assessment in schools are still vague and not clear enough, not to the teachers, but also to the school administrators, and as well as to the students' parents. Okay, now the CEFR assessment in Malaysia. So all this while, we did our CEFR assessment among students by using school-based assessment, or we call it as SBA. So in this SBA, teachers will assess students based on their work in the classroom. and their participation, how they show their interest in classroom, how they participate in the classroom activities, and also based on the homework given by the teachers. So these elements are the elements that need to be focused by teachers to provide marks for the students. And the achievements, based on SPA, the achievements will be recorded as PL. PL is a proficiency level. So we have PL1, PL2, PL3 until PL6. The proficiency level 1 until the proficiency level 6. And the PL6 is the highest achievement, while the PL1 is the lowest one. So CEFR assessment in Malaysia is not standardized, it's not specific, it's not specified, and it depends on school. Because we have no guidelines, we have no briefing on this, on how to conduct the assessment for students at school. So it depends on school. So the school administrator will discuss together with the head of English panel. So they will sit and discuss on how to assess the students. Sorry. And so they will decide what is the best method to do the assessment for CEFR. And so as a result, we can see that because of different method of assessment from different schools, then schools will have a different, I would say varied results from each school, because all schools in Malaysia will have different kind of different method of assessment for CEFR. Then the way the results presented is also different. So this kind of situation makes students, parents to feel unfair, right? To feel unfair, and they are questioning. They are questioning to teachers why the children are having a different way of assessment as the other students in other schools. So there are parents, lots of parents, they come to school and they ask this question to us. How will they know whether their children are proficient enough in learning English? For example, there is school A and school B, but these schools are in the same area. But however, school A, they assess students using writing skill. But in school B, they assess students on listening and speaking skills. So this kind of situation makes the students' parents questioning us as teachers. So how do we ensure that if students in school A is better than students in school B, and so on? So parents, they show that they are not satisfied enough with the method of assessment conducted in school. And so this situation somehow allowed me to do the research so that these issues can be solved and we will get a better assessment method in the future for all teachers in all schools in Malaysia, or maybe can be used in overseas too. Okay, there are many issues. There are lots of issues came up, but I just choose the 3 most important issues. So the first one, students have not been assessed according to the skills learned. As we know, in CEFR, in the classroom, students will learn about all the 5 skills, which are listening, speaking, reading, writing, and language arts. Like I mentioned just now, there are schools which assess students using certain skills. Not all skills are covered, right? So while they are learning all the 5 skills, but when there are students, when there are schools or teachers who assess students only on certain skills, so it is a bit unfair for the students, right? Because they have been spending that time in the classroom learning all the 5 skills, but during the assessment, they are being testing only on certain skills. Are we just wasting their time or what? So this kind of question is somehow lingering in my mind up until now. Besides, teachers are also confused to conduct the assessment because we have no guidelines to refer to. While the parents, most of the parents, I would say, they were complaining, they keep complaining that they do not understand the result displayed, the PL1, PL2, and so on. So they do not have any idea how well or how good, how proficient is the children by looking at the PL instead of ABC giving grades like the previous method. So they do not understand the PL way of marking. And I would say most of the parents, students' parents, they demanded for formal examination for CEFR. And because they complain that having formal examination is much better, it's much easier for them to know their children's level of proficiency instead of having this kind of assessment that they do not know themselves. So throughout my research, I have 2 research objectives. The first one is to determine teachers' perceptions on CEFR assessment and to examine teachers' knowledge and readiness about CEFR assessment. It is important for teachers to be fully ready to teach CEFR, but if they are not, then that will be a big problem to the students. How can we teach students for something that we are not ready of, for something that we do not know, or something that we only have a limited knowledge of it, and then we have to teach the students. So that will be a big problem for the students, right? For the research methodology, I have, throughout the study, I used a survey and short interview to collect the data. And there were 15 questions in the survey, and it was distributed through online platform. And I collected my survey through online too. Because I do not want to make any contact with people out there, during this pandemic, and for safety reason. And for the short interview, I had 2 questions, and it was interviewed and recorded online too. For the participants, there were 50 English teachers from 5 different schools in the same area. And all the teachers participated were selected randomly by the school headmaster. So there was no bias of selecting the teachers. So I think it is fair enough. Okay, for the results. So these 3 are the most important or significant results from research. There are 42 respondents, which is 84%, agree that CEFR assessment should be standardized. Number 2, all respondents, 100%, state that they never been briefed about CEFR assessment. So all of the teachers agree that they haven't been briefed about CEFR assessment from, not from the school level. In the school level, we have discussed, we have our own discussion for the assessment, but not for the other, from the other party, like from the district level, from the national level and stuff. So we don't have any briefing on that from them. We just do the discussion, do the decision of doing the assessment on our own. And the last one, the 45 respondents, 90% agree that standardized assessment is more equitable for students, right? It's more fair for all students. So there will be no unsatisfaction from the parents, from the teachers as well, right? Because there's a difference in carrying out the assessment. So yeah, it is true that teachers also agree standardized assessment is more equitable and fair for the students. So for the recommendations at the end of my research, it recommends that to provide a training course for teachers and to delivering content and method of assessment, so that teachers will be more contentful, will be more knowledgeable, and will be more ready on how to assess students. So training courses for teachers is very important to refresh the content to all teachers, because this is still new for us, even though we have been going through it for 4 years. But still, training courses for teachers is very, very important nowadays. And the second one is to prepare a module as guidelines for teachers. So it is easier for teachers to conduct the assessment later, and it will save more time. And number 3 is to deliver knowledge of CEFR and assessment to parents. And this is highly recommended, highly important to prepare the students' parents with this knowledge. This is to avoid a misunderstanding among parents and school teachers, right? So I believe that all educators, all teachers will agree with me to prepare the parents with all this knowledge, right? And actually for the second one, to prepare the module as guidelines for teachers, this will be my next research for my PhD. I've prepared my proposal. Now I'm looking for a supervisor. So all the best for me. I really hope that my intention to prepare a module for CEFR assessment for teachers and students in the future will be a successful, right? Yeah, if you have any questions regarding my presentation, you can ask. So thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita. Terima kasih. If you have any questions, you can ask. I'll try my best to respond to your question.
Feel free to unmute your microphones or put your questions in the chat box.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was very curious because you said that, if I understood correctly, you said that teachers are not prepared enough, in terms of CEFR, but the parents know about this framework and they want teachers to use it?
Oh, it's actually parents just know, parents just being informed that we will have a new curriculum, but the parents do not have any knowledge, do not have any content about this at all. So that's why parents are questioning why different schools are having different kind of assessment. They are questioning. So it's quite a big problem for us as teachers at school to respond to the question.
Okay, thank you.
Has there been any effort to standardize between like schools in the same area at least?
This is what I'm going to fight for. I'm going to fight for a standardized and specified format of assessment for CEFR, so that I believe that this will be much easier for teachers and for the students as well. Instead of just having discussion again and again to decide which method is the best, right? So by having a specific and standardized format of assessment, that will be a savior for us as teachers in the future. Any more questions? I hope that my presentation will help all teachers and all educators to somehow think of this issue, and maybe we can have a better solution for schools and for our students.
Fingers crossed.
Any
Have
more
you
questions?
asked students' opinions?
Sorry?
Have you asked students' opinions?
Oh, I haven't asked their opinions, but there is student, she's comparing her result with her neighbor, which from different school, and she asked me, teacher, why I don't have this kind of assessment? Why I don't have speaking assessment? My neighbor was. And I was like, okay, I don't have the answer for now, but I'll come back to you later.
So kids are noticing, huh?
Yeah. Kids nowadays, they have lots of questions. They have lots of things to ask the teachers. So we have to prepare ourselves enough. They are more knowledgeable, I think. So how many minutes do I have?
You've got about 3.
Oh, 3 minutes.
Yeah. But feel free to end when you like. Don't want to keep you on the spot longer than you want to be.
Yeah. I'm setting up my phone so that I won't exceed my time.
Ah, don't worry. It's my job to stop you.
I'm afraid that I can't stop talking.
Well, your presentation was really interesting and eye-opening.
Yeah.
About Malaysian education. So just to be clear, your government basically said you have to teach using the CEFR standards.
Yeah, I am a government teacher.
Without any instruction.
Yeah. We did have our course, but solely based on the content.
Right.
We haven't been briefed about the assessment at all.
Right.
So that's why we are still confusing. What is the best method to assess? Are you familiar with CFR?
I don't use it. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it, but I've never needed to teach it.
Japan is using CFR too, right? At schools, I think at schools.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Japan is one of the countries that practice CFR at school.
If I can join.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I do not have experience like actually in the country, but since I'm studying about Japan, there's actually a lot of discussion in the academic world about whether the CFR is adapted to, for example, Japan or other countries, because, well, being something that was created in Europe, where even just this circulation of people is different than what you might have in countries like Japan. The premises are different, so there's a lot of discussion there, because it is felt like a need, like you need to use that because it is the European framework, but at the same time they're trying to say, okay, but is it actually the best choice, or should we adapted in some ways, because as you said, it is fair for the students to have the same framework and assessment, etc. But maybe it is not just, you know, the best ever, and people are trying to really see what they can take from the European framework and adapt it to the situation.
Yeah, because we are in government schools, so we have to obey the rules. We have to use this curriculum in schools. So that's why we are still adopting the curriculum in schools. And the students seem excited to learn beyond their knowledge, yes. But when it comes to certain topics, they will ask more. Like I mentioned about the 4 seasons, and they are excited about seeing the school canteens is selling pizza and stuff. So, and they ask, why we don't have pizza at our school? So, okay, I can't answer that.
I'm afraid
Maybe
I have
they
to
can do a
stop.
petition in English.
Sorry?
I'm afraid we have to stop. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
But you can go to another breakout room to continue the discussion
Yeah,
if
sure.
you'd like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.